This stuff used to freak me out a ton, and now it's pretty chill.
Welcome to the Love Siren podcast, your weekly dose of enchantment for the modern romantic. I'm Dahlia, your queer, poly, feminist witch, guiding you into your most magnetic, irresistible siren self. If you're craving ocean-deep love, delicious confidence, and results that last, you've just unlocked the right portal. Thank you so much for being here. Let's get into it.
Today, we are taking a peek behind the curtain of my practice, and we are going to be discussing my deities, spirits, ancestors, and just general energetic weirdos that I work with. I would love to start this episode like I normally do with a disclaimer that this is my practice. These are the relationships that I have made with my deities. Some of them are universal, but some of them are really special to just me. So just to be very clear, this is my experience. I'm not speaking like universal truth by any means. Spirit work in general is very personal. I actually felt a little nervous about talking about this, and then I decided that it would be an interesting topic, especially because I was nervous. Not everybody experiences spirit communication in the same way, and just because I have a relationship with a very large spirit squad doesn't mean that your practice is bad or anything like that if you only work with a couple of deities or even just one. The one thing that I will say about that is that I have noticed, and my friend Cindy brought this up to me as well, that there are people who come from a monotheistic religion, and sometimes they can just replace Jesus or God or whatever with one deity instead of remembering that we belong to a polytheistic practice. And so that means that we can worship whoever we want. And that's kind of part of the fun of it for me. I have certain deities that I have a relationship with, but if I want something in particular, I can kind of just look at the list of who's available to me that I can be like, hey, could I ask you a favor? I'll give you some chocolate. I will never tell you on what to believe in or worship or devote yourself to. I just wanted to open the curtain behind what my personal spiritual ecosystem looks like. For the most part, I don't really have a particular order of these deities. However, Persephone is first because she has been with me since I was a kid, and I definitely feel the closest to her just because I have worked with her for my whole life. So some of the ways that I know that she has been with me is, number one, I used to draw this flower in my head before I went to sleep. And I learned now as an adult and a formal devotee that that is her symbol. It is like the seed of life. And also when I was a kid at my local quarry, I would constantly find garnets, which were related to pomegranate seeds. I've always been very obsessed with death. I was just a very goth kid always, but also very flowery, very optimistic, very into spring, very bright colored, etc. I also don't know if this is directly related to working with Persephone, but I've always wanted everything. I've always wanted to be able to own a house, if not multiple houses, but also be able to travel the world. And I've always wanted to have a stable career and also go and join the circus whenever I want to. I've always wanted to be able to pursue my art and also support fellow artists and live this very bohemian Andy Warhol style kind of life. And I feel like Persephone really encourages us to not settle, where she is both the queen of the underworld and she is also the goddess of spring. She is both. She is that duality. I love the gray and the messy. It's always been reflected in my art. I never create a 100% good or a 100% bad character. Honestly, it is a little bit challenging with this podcast because I feel like I'm constantly giving disclaimers and I'm constantly being like, well, it's a bit more nuanced than that. But I wouldn't change it. I definitely wouldn't change it. One of the weirder things that has happened to me with Persephone is that I did a breathwork session the day that I got my divorce, which, if you've never done a breathwork session, basically you hyperventilate in an attempt to activate your pineal gland, which is the same part of your brain that dreams. And it's a way to enact some visions without doing any other kind of intervention, like no drugs or anything like that. And I'm not a visual person. I think that I might have a I can't pronounce the word, but basically where you just like, you can't see images when you close your eyes. I'll just put it in the description. You can figure it out for me. But basically, the day that I had my divorce, I did this breathwork session and I experienced all of my past lives come to me, and every single one of them thanked me. And they were both male and female, which is very interesting now that I am non binary. And every single one of them thanked me for getting divorced because they could not do that, either from legality reasons or society reasons or whatever it was. And so it was a really beautiful moment. And then at the end, Persephone gave me some roses, and I had a wonderful, very well-meaning friend give me a bouquet of roses after I told her what had happened. So I got to experience that bouquet of roses show up on my doorstep, I believe the next morning after I experienced that crazy breathwork session. Persephone shows up for me in this like very cool mom kind of way. I kind of think of it like Lorelai Gilmore in Gilmore Girls, but like way more wise, way less impulsive, much less stubborn. She's a very cool mom. She's the kind of mom that people say is their best friend, but like in a not problematic kind of way. So obviously, because Persephone was with me since I was a child, when I started tapping back into my witchy self, she was the first person that I went to and was working with. And that eventually led me to Hades. And initially, I had zero desire to work with Hades. I definitely fed into the very bad PR of him being a kidnapper, and I didn't want to work with somebody like that. But I ended up taking a class from Angelica Cresci, and we dove very deep into his myth. We looked at all of the ancient Greek artifacts. I highly recommend it if you are at all interested in Hades. I don't think that she has a waitlist for it, but I will just post her website down below just in case. I'm now in her Hades coven, and you would think that it was like very dark, very moody. We're constantly talking about death, but really it's just like a bunch of goofballs just like hanging out together. She has a really excellent way of inviting exactly the right person into that coven. One of my favorite parts about working with Hades is that he really encourages us to live. He knows how precious our mortal lives are, and like the worst thing that you can do is waste it. So, the weird story that I have with Hades is that the day before Thanksgiving in 2024, I had a really big download that I should work with him, and I ignored it. I was just like, I don't want to. And then I went out and I got dinner with a bunch of friends, and we had like a cute little Friendsgiving. And then when I came home, all of my refrigerator magnets were pushed up on my fridge. So it wasn't like it was gravity that pushed them down. They were all pushed up to like the top part of my fridge, something that I definitely wouldn't have done. And the magnets were also overlapping, which is something that I would never do. I really love when they're like very perfectly in line with each other. And so that freaked me out. I managed to go to bed by just kind of being like, I must have just done this and just not even thought about it. I double checked to make sure that nobody had come into the house. I had my like money bowl full of cash right by the door. That was completely untouched. My passport was still like on the bedside table. Nobody came. Nobody came, and definitely nobody would have come and only done the magnets. Then the day of Thanksgiving, so the next day, my very good friend out here in Vegas came over, and she had I don't know, kind of a terrifying moment where she was channeling like crazy and her pendulum was going in a crazy star pattern. And it was very clear that there was like a big entity in my house. And then it was the very next day that I got the advertisement for that course to work with Hades. And I was like, okay, I think that this is what we're going to do. And now I honestly feel like I almost have a stronger relationship with Hades than I do with Persephone. And I think it's because we had overcome a lot of stereotypes and I have a really intentional relationship with him. Whereas Persephone has always just felt so easy. I never really felt like I needed to research her or learn more about her. I just am like, no, yeah, you're just my mom. One thing that I find so fascinating is that there are just so many death deities. So, for example, we have the Egyptian god Anubis, Dawn in Irish mythology, Enma in Japanese Buddhism, Yama in Hinduism, and Santa Muerte in Mexican culture. And the list honestly goes on and on. Like the Wikipedia page that I got these names from is gigantic. To me, I think that there is a certain energy signature, there's a certain vibration that all of these deities are in alignment with. And it just so happens to be that Hades is the one that resonates with me the most and the one that I can tap into to be able to get to that specific vibration. Maybe it's because I have Greek heritage, I'm not really sure. So Hades very much shows up as dad energy, very similar to Persephone mom. He can be incredibly stern, but he also has such a sense of humor and a ridiculous sweet tooth. He's always asking for chocolate. And if I keep making the same mistake, he definitely gets sick of me. He's just like, come back when you figure this out. I always cry to Hades. I always dedicate my tears to him because I'm like, this man is going to fix it. Hades, in my opinion, is also a love deity. He fought so hard for the love of his life and for her to have the freedom that she needed to fully blossom. I think that people would expect me as a love witch to work with Aphrodite, but I honestly feel like I get all of the love, advice, and wisdom that I need from Hades. Next on the list is my great aunt Maggie. I don't think I have ever actually met this woman, but I've had multiple psychics tell me that she is just absolutely rooting for me. My grandmother, her sister, was much more on the introverted side, and Maggie is much more on the extroverted side, which I am as well. Hilariously, those same psychics have used the same adjective too, that Maggie thinks I'm neat, which I think is really cute. This is something that I'm still kind of marinating on, so bear with me as I make my way through this. It might be a bit on the clumsy side, but my aunt, the way that my dad describes her is that she moved more into the evangelical circles in her life, and so I don't really think that our human spirits would actually enjoy each other. And I wonder if that's part of why I never really met her. Like, we're supposed to have a bond in our spirits, but in our human forms, we might not have actually liked each other. And it's something I think about a lot because I think that sometimes we can assume that all of our ancestors are constantly rooting for us. But I do wonder if there are ancestors that just haven't quite learned the lessons that they're supposed to learn yet. And so they might push us towards decisions that are safer for us rather than something that is for our highest good in an attempt to protect us. Maggie doesn't show up as strong as a voice as Hades and Persephone does, but she does always show up whenever I try a new divination tool. She is typically the one that comes through for me. I think because we do just have such a strong connection that she is able to kind of help me learn that particular divination tool. Man, this episode's been really interesting because I feel like I really try to kind of explain all sides of myself. And I feel like a lot of my previous episodes, I talk about the groundedness of my witchcraft, but this is the one. This is where we go real full woo. And this next one, I think, is the most woo out of all of them. His name is Mitsiki. He came to me in a group meditation where we were connecting with our spirit squad. And quite a few people in the class had quote unquote normal people come to them. So, like grandparents, another person had a pet, like a beloved pet, come to them. But I had in my meditation this crazy heart demon in a 3-piece suit come up. He doesn't talk, he just guards me. And I've had a lot of people who read auras. He typically shows up as this neon blue shield in front of me. I absolutely love him. He makes me feel so safe. I can kind of feel him walking behind me, and he makes me feel very big, where in my normal life I am 5'2". I'm quite small. But he makes me feel gigantic. He has this very bouncer energy to him. He also never talks, which I don't know. He's the only one in my squad that like slightly scares me. I think because I don't know if he's like a biblically accurate angel or if he's a demon or something else entirely. I have tried to find him in various occult books and I cannot seem to find anything related to him. So it makes me feel quite special. I'm really hoping that one day he will talk to me, but honestly, I feel like my brain is like too puny and I would like explode if he actually did try to talk to me. But so he's shown up in a couple of really interesting ways. But one of the more powerful ones that happened to me as I was doing a bunch of inner child work, which is hard for me. I had pretty chaotic childhood growing up and I feel quite disconnected from my inner child. And I was doing meditation and he had come into the meditation and I was like my current self in like an adult Dahlia. And I gave him a hug and he just like wrapped me and I just started bawling in real life. Like I just felt so safe and so protected. And it was with that energy that I was then able to do a bit of time magic and go back to my childhood self and kind of give them that same love and energy and protection to kind of help me move through some of that more trauma kind of vibe stuff that I'm not going to talk about. And then I'm also new to working with Fortuna, but she is who I have asked to look over my business. She's kind of the epitome of mirror complaints to me if you listen to that previous episode. She reminds me that always in a bad situation, there's always a bright side and there's always a way that this is working out for you in your favor. I'm still figuring out what her energy signature is, but to me, she just feels optimistic. And she feels optimistic in a different way than Persephone does, where Persephone kind of has this like edge to her, and Fortuna just kind of feels like very sturdy. I also count Love Siren Witchery as part of my spirit squad. Right now, it's a baby. Like this business can't even hold its head up without my help. But eventually, it will start moving on its own, and eventually, it will start telling me who the business is instead of me telling it what it is. And I think that there's a really beautiful relationship with that spirit of this thing that I have created. I also have Angie, who is my house spirit. She protects my home. I ask her to help me find things. One of the weirder things that happened to me was I lost all of my stationery supplies, looked over the entire house, and finally I was like, Angie, I need you. This is what it is. This is what it looks like. This is the container that it's in. Can you help me find it? And then it was the very first place that I looked, and there it was. I highly recommend this hack. Give your house a spirit name and just ask them to help you find things. It's the best. I'll ask her opinion about art that I'm putting up. I have one collage piece on my wall that she hates. She is constantly making it fall off of the wall. It has double the amount of tape as my other collages, and yet it is the one that falls the most often. Eventually, I will replace it because it's clear that she hates it, but I haven't collaged in a while. I always say thank you when I leave the house, and I always say hi when I get back into my house. I also have a pine tree and a rosemary bush outside of my home, and I ask them to work with Angie to help kind of build this triangle of safety. I am on a first floor apartment, and so it's just something that just makes me feel just a little bit more at ease with that. And then I just have spirits brackets general. I often call in spirits for my highest good. I like to think of this as just like, hey, if you're not busy, I could like really use some help with this situation. As far as timing is concerned, in the summertime, I feel the closest with Hades because I think he is simply less busy. And then in the winter, I tend to feel the closest to Persephone. I have 4 pendulums total, one for Persephone, one for Hades, one for my business, and then one that is just a general anyone who wants to chime in for my highest good. And then depending on the day, I'll typically put one of those pendulums in my pocket or my bra or my purse. I will do various acts of devotion to my deities. So for Angie, I will obviously clean my house. That one's a really easy one, but also just cleanse the energy. I really try to like kind of be like, you want me here, you know? I mentioned this in a previous episode, but my landlord goofed on my lease. And so I ended up saving almost $2,000 this year because they didn't raise my rent. And I absolutely think that that was Angie kind of being like, no, I like this one. We're keeping them. I'll have it be something as simple as going on a nice walk and observing the nature as a devotion to Persephone. I'll do exercise for Mitsuki or Hades. Going over my finances, that will typically be an active devotion either to Hades, who is the god of wealth, or to Fortuna. I love posting on Instagram in Fortuna's name as well. I have an altar that is a 5-tier bookcase, and Hades is at the bottom. He gets the biggest shelf. And then half of the year, Persephone is at the top shelf. And then half the year, she's on the bottom with Hades. And then in the middle 3 tiers are space for my tools, petitions, or offerings to my other deities. I'll often leave coins out for people to find. I'll do them at crossroads in devotion for Hades, or to Fortuna. I'll leave them on like the bus bench. At the grocery store, I have this just be a signal that's like, I believe in abundance. I believe in this returning back to me. Please grant me luck as I pass it along to other people. All of my donations are done in my deities' names. Persephone will go to Planned Parenthood. Mitsuki is NPR. I don't know why. He just likes them. Fortuna is usually the food bank, and Hades is animal shelters. It's a very easy way to pass on that love and luck to as many people as possible. And in addition with that, I also will volunteer in their names as well. So for Persephone, I'll do park cleanups or food bank, etc., etc. Okay, I think we did it. I really hope that you liked this episode. I'm so curious on what deities you work with, or if this inspired you to maybe start working with a new person. Thank you, as always, for being here, and I absolutely cannot wait to talk to you in the next episode.